Welcome to section 4, Encryption and Key Management. In this section, we are going to set the foundation to learn more about encryption at rest and encryption in transit. To do that, we are going to cover data storage and classification, how to use key management service, also the AWS Cloud HSM, and the certificate manager. Let's get started with data storage and classification. We are going to cover data storage, the different options of the data storage, levels of classification, tags, and access. First of all, let's review what are the different storage services that we can find in AWS. So we have multiple storage services like ephemeral drives, which are the EC2 instances storage. Not all the EC2 instances have this ephemeral storage, but most of them. Also EBS, which is the fastest storage that you can attach to an instance. It's like a hard drive that you attach an instance. Elastic File Service, which is like an NFS service. S3, which is an object service. Glacier for offline backup. Storage gateway that help us to send information from our on-prem systems to the cloud. The same thing that we can do with Snowball. Snowball is a big USB drive, let's say that way, or a big hard drive that we can move big amounts of the information from on-prem, from your location, your physical location, to an Amazon region or Amazon availability zone. In CloudFront, also we can find information, which is the CDN, the Content Delivery Network, the same thing as you can store information in the RDS database, Redshift, DynamoDB, or Elastic Cache. But also I didn't want to forget about Elastic MapReduce or Elastic Service, because at the end of the day we can have data there. So all of these services, they can integrate somehow with the technologies that we are going to talk now and the different services to make sure that the encryption at rest, in this case, is applied. So in order to take advantage of those storage services, we need to understand what kind of data we store. And to do that, also, we need to know where it's located. And to classify the data based on the sensitivity, we have to think about two different ways. First is the public data. So what is the data that we are storing that is available to everyone, is not encrypted because it doesn't need to be encrypted and because it's not sensitive data. And in the other side, what is the critical data? The data that we don't want others to access from the internet, that has to be encrypted and requires authorization and authentication. Probably you have more level or different classifications of data depending also on the sensitivity, but it's important always to think about these two levels, public and critical data, or public and private data, to treat the information in different way, of course. To do that, also we need to make sure that we understand the tagging functionality in AWS. So why is important tagging? Because you can categorize resources to let others know, or for us, the purpose, who is the owner, the environment where it's running, etc. For example, if it's test, production, or these kind of things. Or even for the data. Things in an S3 bucket that contain very critical information, or even EC2 instances that are processing confidential data, you probably need to tag those instances or those resources with a tag called data classification critical, something like that. But coming back to the basics of tagging, remember that you can apply policies and also automation, discovery, etc. using those tags. So it's important always to tag your resources properly. However, not all the resources support tagging, most of them, but not all of them. And there are some restrictions for tagging, like maximum number of tags per resource is 50, and the length for a key and value is 127 and 255 characters respectively. You can see here an example of tagging an EC2 instance. And of course, some service that can take advantage of the resource tags are Amazon Macy that we saw in the previous sections, AWS KMS, of course AWS AAM policies, and Cloud HSM. Both AWS KMS and Cloud HSM are services that we are going to review in this section. For access, it's important also considering the level of the data and the way that we tag this data, what protection we can apply to that data. It's not only about encryption or not only about encryption at rest or encryption in transit, but also to control the defense in depth with other security controls. And remember, we need to put security in place based on different layers, from the network to the VPC, subnets, the load balancer, the instance itself, operating system, and the application. And of course, you can apply bucket policies and user policies. And additionally, as we said, and we will see in the next sections, we will see how to use AWS services to apply encryption at rest and also encryption in transit. And finally, we will see another section about backup, replication, and recovery. So in summary, we now know the different data storage that we can use in AWS. We will see in more detail those storage services in next sections, and also how to classify the data, like a foundation information about that, but it's important to know what type of data we are using, why it's very important to tag your resources, and also to control the access and to protect our assets in AWS.